Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It is March the 22nd, 2022. With my colleague Big J, and we're going to talk some Australian boxing in the next 30 minutes or so. Fights of the week, fight results from last week, upcoming news, things like Kambosos versus Devin Haney, Tszyu versus Terrell, Gausha, and we're just going to start off here. So what's going on, Big J? This weekend, Billy Dib won by disqualification against Jacob NG to win the IBF, IBF International and WBO Oriental title. So basically, that's putting him in the rankings at 135 pounds. So we did talk about the fight, but since we're here again and we got a little bit more time, any update on what's going on?
I haven't heard anything yet. Hopefully I'll be talking to Billy again tomorrow about what's going to go on with him next week. Next. But at the moment he's nursing dislocated and 3 broken ribs, so he's going to be out of action for a little bit. I haven't heard anything about Jacob NG, whether it's going to be what sort of punishment he's going to cop for the disqualification or what's going to happen there. But down the line, I would like to see Billy Dib fight Lee Selby. I think that would be an excellent fight. Both IBF featherweight champions. Yeah, both around the same age, so I think that would be a good fight. So,
and just so happens, Lee Selby has a fight coming up this weekend, so they're fighting a week apart.
Yeah, I think that would be a really good fight.
Yeah, Lee Selby is fighting a Gustavo Daniel Lemos over in Buenos Aires, of all places, this weekend. No American TV deal or any type of, international fight news on when this fight's going to be broadcast. But pay attention to the channel. We may be talking about this this weekend. Looking at the 135-pound rankings, of course, right now George Kambosos is the main guy. We're going to talk about him later on in the video. But yeah, that makes sense. Him, Billy Dib, whenever he does come back, to go after Lee Selby. And likely when those two fight, if they fight, it'll likely be some type of eliminator, because right now Lee Selby's ranked number 4 by the IBF, and currently I don't see him ranked by any other sanctioning bodies, but being ranked by the IBF at number 4 and number 1 and number 2 is vacant. In fact, the guy Gustavo Lemos he's fighting is number 3. So I think that's perfect for Billy Dib to try to target the winner of that fight, but we don't know how long he's going to be out, because he's 36 years old. He's going to be 37 at the end of the year, and he's got broken ribs. But overall, he was looking good in the fight, though. He didn't look washed up, right?
No, he looked pretty good, and that's if he doesn't have to have Jacob NG in a rematch too. That's if they don't force that hand. So, which personally, I think after that, Jacob NG doesn't deserve one. I mean, he's the one that fucked up, so he's going to suffer the consequences of that.
Yeah, I don't see why he would be able to get a rematch. Also, 48-year-old Sam Soliman fought this weekend against a Jesse White.
White?
Yeah, it was supposed to be a rematch.
Yep. For the Victorian State Championship, Sam got him again on UD. So at 48 years old, Sam, former IBF middleweight champion, still going strong. I mean, we've covered Sam before. I've spoken to him. I mean, why is he still going at 48 years of age? Who knows? But, good on him. So, I mean, he's the level of competition is very, very, state-level championships, that's pretty low. That's not much above a club fighter. But, he's still going strong, so good on him. But I hope he just, personally, I hope he gives it away. But, anyway.
What other news from this weekend did we miss? That was pretty much it, right, from the weekend fights? That was all the significant ones in the shout-outs?
Yeah, that's the most... No. I mean, this week is huge. We've got Sonny, we've got Ebanie, we've got Skye, and we've got Tim. So this week's like a week no one else has seen before, and it starts tonight. So this week's a massive week for Australian boxing.
Let me show this clip real quick for the fans who didn't get to see Billy Dib get thrown on his shoulder. Yeah, a lot of people saying that was a dive, but it looked like to me, we talked about it. He picked him up and then just let him fall, and he shouldn't have picked him up in the first place.
Yeah, that wasn't no dive. Bullshit.
Yeah, it wasn't a dive.
Not the way that he clutched his chest after he hit the ground, because after he clutched his chest, I thought there was something wrong here. So
yeah. On to the other fights before we get to the card that's taking place in about 6 hours or 7 hours or so. This weekend,
5.5.
Yeah, this weekend on the Zone, you're going to have Kiko Martinez taking on Josh Warrington in a rematch for the IBF 126-pound featherweight title. Also in the card going to be Max Hughes versus Ryan Walsh. And the two girls that we're going to talk about next, first, we're going to talk about Maria Cecelia Roman versus Ebanie Bridges for the IBF bantamweight title. Now, you have a theory about that fight, and I pretty much forgot. Can you remind the fans what you think, how that fight's going to go, and if Ebanie Bridges wins, what's going to be next for her?
Well, if Ebanie Bridges wins, there's a possible unification bout with either Jamie Mitchell, who's WBA champ, and or Melissa Parker, who's the current IBO champ, who actually beat Romero in their last fight, but that was at 122. That wasn't at 118. So, and all those girls are under the management of Brian Curran, who manages Ebanie, Jamie, and Melissa. I think it's Melissa Parker. That's her name, isn't it? Yeah. So, if Ebanie gets up, a unification bout with either of those two girls is going to be very easily organised, and possibly we'll get to that on the George Haney undercard. So.
Yeah, she's this Maria Cecelia Roman 16-5-1 with 0 KOs. She's been around for quite some time. You know, this fight is taking place at 118 pounds, right?
Correct, yeah, Ben. I mean, on paper, she should outwork Ebanie quite easily, but if Ebanie gets a good shot off, she could pull off the knockout.
Yeah. So, and this girl, this woman, she is 39 years old from Argentina.
Yeah, but those Argentinian women are pretty hard. Those South American women are pretty hard. So, yeah, I mean, it's a 50-50 fight. I don't know which way it's going to go, but you know, you'd think that if Ebanie gets up, all those unification bouts and the road time dispute will be certainly on the cards.
Yeah, Ebanie Bridges now 7-1 with 3 KOs. Of course, she's 35 years old. She's also been on that show. Can you explain to fans what she's been doing in her basically her free time since in between now and her last fight?
She's been on that SAS show, a reality TV show, basically a boot camp for for celebrities. She's doing quite well. She's still in there. I didn't see the last episode, but up until the last episode, she's doing pretty well. I mean, last I saw, there was only 2 males left and about 6 females. So the women are killing it on that show. So, yeah, she's doing quite well. I mean, it was filmed 6 months ago, like pretty much. When was her last fight when she took on the French girl? It was filmed like a month after that, sometime in September, October of last year.
That was September of last year.
Yeah, well, that was about a month after that. It wasn't very long after that. So she went through that. It was about 2 weeks, and she went through that entire show with a busted hand. So good on her. I mean, obviously, I wanted to win, because, you know, you got to back the Aussie, but, you know, well, I think it's a real 50-50 fight, because I haven't seen this Ramon girl fight. Have you ever seen her fight?
No, I haven't.
No, so, yeah, we don't know what a competition's like, but on paper, you think Ebanie would be outboxed, but who knows?
I would imagine, though, since a lot of people felt she should have lost that fight against Gangloff, that maybe Matchroom is trying to match her soft, but also give her a fight that's somewhat relevant, which is why, you know, she's fighting for a world title. But this girl doesn't have any knockout power, and, you know, well, she doesn't have any knockouts on her record, and then, you know, she's almost 40 years old.
Yeah, that's true.
And then we still got Shannon Courtenay kicking out around out there, and her and Jamie Mitchell have a rematch clause. So, you know, I'm going to be wondering what's going to be going on with that. But it's safe to say, and we're going to talk about it more later on in the video, it's safe to say that we can see, it's a very strong possibility we'll see Ebanie Bridges on the Kambosos Devin Haney card. I mean, it makes perfect sense.
Especially if she's a champ.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. What do you think about Skye Nicholson?
I thought she looked real good in her pro debut. Personally, I thought she was aggressive. I thought her footwork and her evasiveness was brilliant. I mean, for a debut, she did really well. She did really, really well. So I'm surprised that she's fighting so. I mean, she's 3 weeks removed from her last fight, and Beck Connolly, who we all know has a terrible record.
Yeah.
But I think putting her in there 3 weeks after her debut is probably not a smart idea. So, but that's just me talking. But yeah, I see Skye getting past Beck Connolly quite easily. Is she going to knock her out like Ebanie did? Who knows? Remains to be seen. But I see another slick footwork, evasive performance by Skye, and yeah, she should probably get in there and have it pretty easy because, as I think Beck Connolly's last fight was against Ebanie, and that was at 118. This is 126. So
Beck Connolly's been fighting. She's fought a Maria Chichi. I mean, she's lost that fight, and then she's got 2 fights scheduled. One for March 26th, of course, this weekend against Skye Nicholson, and then another one after that on April the 15th. So right now, basically, Beck Connolly is, a club fighter. A record of 3-11, no KO. She's been stopped 3 times. 37 years old, and for Skye Nicholson, it's like, okay, all right, she's getting back out there 3 weeks after her last fight. She's fighting a name that's known amongst women's boxing circles, especially since, Beck Connolly's got some quality names, even though she's lost. Ebony Bridges, Ramla Ali, Ellie Scottney, Rachel Ball, Natasha Jonas. So she's been fighting Terry Harper. So these are all well-known names in the women's boxing community, but, she's lost these fights. So it's a good name, for Skye Nicholson to have at this point in time in her career because she's getting it so early. And the other, female fighters, they got, Beck when they were much more seasoned in their resumes. But overall, does she have the goods? She competes in the 130-pound division. I'm guessing that's where she's going to try to make herself known.
Yeah, and the 130-pound division is the most successful division in Australia, both for men and women. So she's right in the thick of it. That's where we've had the most success across the board for both men and women. So, and I think she'll do fine. I think she'll do real good. So, of course, she has to prove that in the ring. But from what I saw in her debut, her footwork and her evasiveness is really, really good. Yeah. So,
and between that 130 and between 126. Pretty much all the way up to 135 and 147. There's a lot of fights right there for her, depending on what she's going to settle in at over the next couple of years, as she starts to make her track to try to get on her way to a heavyweight title. Let me pull up this weigh-in here from the next fight that's happening. Sonny Bill Williams taking on Barry Hall. There seemed to be some fisticuffs yesterday at the weigh-in. There was a headbutt.
Yeah, more like a head push.
Yeah, gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah. So let's talk about this card. I have it here pulled up. Let me make sure. You have Sonny Bill, Barry Hall, Raheem Mundine versus Lapani Lavatia. Bilal Akaway, I covered him when he fought John Ryder, who's now...
Yeah, and he hasn't fought since. And he's coming back at cruiserweight. So he's gone from super middle to cruiserweight. And he looks like he's been eating a bit of food because, yeah, he looks... I mean, he weighed in 88 kilos, but he looks every ounce of that 88 kilos. And he's been, what's he been, about 3 years out of the ring?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't think he's going to stay at cruiserweight. I think he'll go back down because you can see, if you saw the weigh-in, you can see how much belly fat he's got. He'll lose all that. Yeah, he'll lose all that, and he'll probably go back down to 175 or something. But he's got to get that ring rust out. So, I mean, even overall, at, what is he, 27 or something, 28? How old is he?
Hold on, let me pull it back up. It doesn't say on BoxRec.
Yeah, but even though that's a long time to be out of the ring, even in your early to mid-20s, that's a long time to be out of the ring. Yeah, 28. So, yeah, I don't think he'll stay at cruiserweight. He'll just do this to get the ring rust out and drop back down. So,
the card, you ever hear of this fighter? The name sounds so familiar. Paul Fleming. Why is that name sound familiar?
Yeah, he's been on a heap of no limit cards. He's a great fighter, 130-pounder. He's a really good fighter. He does a traditional Aboriginal dance to the end of the ring. He has the big celebration, the big corroboree, and yeah, he's a really slick fighter, like real good. I've spoken to many people about him. They reckon he could go all the way. So yeah, he's real good.
18 KOs. He's 33 years old. So far, he's fought in the Philippines, but for the most part, his fights have been. He's got one fight in the United States back in 2011. For research purposes, let me see what card this was. Brandon Rios versus Urbano. I don't even remember this card. But yeah, he's been around. That was a top rank card. He's been around.
He had a couple of years off.
Oh, he's had a couple. Let me see. Yes,
yeah, he had a couple of years off. Yeah, but he's a really slick, really good domestic level, even international level fighter, and I'd like to see him, go overseas again and start taking on that sort of competition.
Yeah, so, he one fight in 2018, and then a complete 2-year layoff. His next fight wasn't until December of 2020. One fight in
that would have been the Tszyu Bowen Morgan card, I think, from memory.
Yeah, and then one fight in 2021, and now here he is with this fight against Jackson John England. And then he had the TBA. He's supposed to return again a month after that, according to BoxRec, April the 20th. He's fighting pretty much for a ranking in all of the sanctioning bodies except for the WBO, because he's fighting for WBC, Asian Boxing Council. I'm pretty sure that's probably going to get him a ranking. WBA Oceania Super, pretty sure that's going to get him a ranking. And then
I think that's his belt. I think he's actually defending that belt because I'm pretty sure last fight he won that belt. So,
okay, the WBC one he's defending. The other three, it says that they're vacant.
WBA one.
Okay, yeah, it says it's vacant, but maybe they're wrong on BoxRec. But yeah, either way, I'm guessing he's really trying to get the jump start back on his career. And staying active. It looks like he competes between the 130, 130 pounds.
Yeah, he's very slick, very good fighter,
but overall,
well
what's
worth watching, that's for sure.
What's the buzz behind this card?
Actually a lot better than I thought, because George Kambosos Jr. is going to be in commentary.
Okay.
Well, he's going to be there. The Maloney twins are going to be there. So pretty much anyone who's not busy is going to be at this fight. And it's got a lot more buzz than I thought it would have. I thought it'd just be, this is just a flash in the pan thing. No one's going to pay attention to it, but the quite opposite. It's been mentioned on mainstream radio, mainstream TV. It's popping up all over YouTube, all the ads. So yeah, there's quite a bit of buzz behind it. Surprisingly, I thought it would fall flat, but it hasn't. So main event might be in a bit of trouble here if this goes all right. So I mean, they've got George commentating. That's pretty big.
Yeah.
So the Maloney twins will be there, and pretty much everyone else that's not doing anything will rock on up. So yeah, it's going to be a good card.
And Sonny Bill is the favorite, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, he'd have to be. He's a lot younger. I mean, he weighed I think 11 kilos more. He's probably 7 or 8 years younger. But then again, he hasn't fought in 7 years. I don't think he's fought since 2015. I mean, it's been a long time. And Barry's only had one pro fight. But I'm going for the draw. I've got no expectations for this fight. I'm going for the draw.
You think they're going to try to set the winner up to fight Paul Gallen?
Big one?
Is the winner being set up to fight Paul Gallen?
I think that's the intention, yeah. But
there might be a rematch if it's a draw, is what you're saying. They're going to try to milk this out.
Well, I just see something, these novelty fights, they always end the same way. So, I mean, this is the novelty fight of all novelty fights. Who's stronger, AFL or NRL? It'll end in a draw. They'll leave questions and answers. I'm just learning from when the same thing happened with Gallen Hall. It'll end in a draw. It's like, what?
Yeah.
So I've got no expectations, no disappointments. So
well, here in the States, of course, we don't have a TV deal. It's going to be on a streaming service over in Australian territories called Stan, STAN. Tell viewers a little bit about that.
It's a streaming service, mostly movies, TV shows. It's rugby union, not rugby league. Started on about 2 years ago, and it started picking up pace from that. It had shows on it like Bump. That was a teenage pregnancy show, and a few other things. But yeah, it's a streaming service in competition with Netflix and what other streaming services there. But it's really starting to focus on sport now. So it had success with rugby, now it's turning its hand to boxing. So basically, it's sort of like an indirect competition to main event. So because as Sonny Bill said at the weigh-in, main event's been running the show for 20 odd years, and now there's finally a bit of competition coming their way. So so hopefully it pans out to be good.
All right, and before we take a little break, Anthony Mundine's son is fighting on this card. Raheem Mundine. Any buzz, from that? Is he supposed to be, like good? Is it going to be, like some buzz behind him?
I think a lot of buzz behind it because he's, I think one of the first, if not the first, third generation Australian boxer. He's fighting at the light heavyweight division, even though him and his opponent weighed in well under that. I think he weighed at like 78 kilo. His opponent weighed in at 74, and the weight limit is like 79. So it's 175. I think he weighed in about 160, 170 or something. So it was well below the weight limit. So I think he might drop down to the super middle, just like his old man when he started. But his worth, he has to prove that in the ring, of course. I mean, obviously they've got him someone that, you know, wouldn't give him too many dramas as a debut. But like everything, he's got to prove his worth in the ring. So,
all right. Once again, take your time out. Please like the video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. We get these Aussie boxing videos out, you know, at least in the long format, every 2 weeks or so. And we're doing a better job at making sure that we're providing coverage, post-fight coverage for these Aussie boxing matches. So take your time out, like the video, subscribe, follow us on Twitter, me at T Street Controversy, and Big J at Old Mate Big J, and it should pop right up. Thanks for watching. We'll be right back.
We got about 10 minutes left, so let's get into it.
All right, so some quick hits. What's going on with the Maloney twins?
They're appearing on the Michaela Mayer card. Who, remember, she's fighting.
Gotcha, yeah. Jennifer Hahn.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, she fought Katie Taylor. I spoke to her on the channel on that Zoom call. So, yeah, I don't know how she got another shot, but good on her. Yeah, so they'll be on that undercard. I don't believe the opponents have been released at this stage, but then again, I haven't checked for about 24 hours. So anything on their opponents?
Nope. And right now, I can't even find the date. The fight's not listed on BoxRec yet. Is it April the 9th? There we go. The cards are going to be taken.
Yeah, that's right. It's only around the corner. Because isn't Jason supposed to fight that Thailand bloke, the #1 contender, WBC?
Yeah, but only Michaela Mayer's fight is fully official with the opponent. We don't know who else is going to be fighting. But we do, since we are short on time, we do have to move on to the next topic. So I'm going to play this promo video for Showtime Championship Boxing this weekend, where you're going to have, actually, this is just Showtime Boxing. There's no title on the line. But you're going to have Tszyu making his Showtime Boxing, a very big deal debut against American debut and network debut against a former world championship challenger, Terrell Gausha. We've been doing a lot of promo for this fight, and the fight we schedule Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be here for the press conference, streaming that live. Friday, also at 2 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be here streaming the weigh-in live. So we're going to have a lot to talk about with Tszyu versus Gausha. So I'm going to play this clip. It's only about 30 seconds, the preview to the fight, and we're going to go from there. Take your time out. Please like the video and subscribe.
The son of a former boxing legend aims to forge his own legacy when undefeated Tszyu makes his highly anticipated American debut.
If you see me coming, you better run. Yeah.
But a dangerous Terrell Gausha will not extend a warm welcome.
Right hand delivers the knockdown.
Who deserves a title shot in boxing's deepest division? Tszyu versus Terrell Gausha, live on Showtime.
It's going to be this weekend on Showtime. Here's the card before me and Big J jump into things. Tszyu versus Terrell Gausha, of course. This is the Showtime Championship Boxing and main event pay-per-view for $59.95 over in Australian territories. Michelle Rivera versus Joseph Adorno, and Elvis Rodriguez versus Juan Jose Velasco. Remember, this was originally supposed to be Jamel Charlo versus Brian Castaño too, with Tszyu as the co-feature. But Tszyu now being able to headline, and I'm guessing that this is so he can be satisfied and not force his WBO mandatory and mess up the chance of Charlo Castaño too. So you got an interesting theory that you brought up before the fight, and seems as though you're sticking to it, about a possible screw job.
Absolutely, and I'm not the only one that thought it. Yeah, I'm the first one that brought it up, but Jeff Fennick, who famously got screwed as Zuma Nelson #1, we don't need to go into that, go look it up, one of the most famous screw jobs in history, he believes the same thing. If Tim doesn't knock out Gausha, he believes that he's going to get shafted on the cards, just like I did. Right? And I'm dare say I'm not the only one who's thought this, because there's been a myriad of Australians who have been screwed on the cards. Jeff Fennick, Andrew Maloney, Daniel Gear when he fought Darren Barker for the IBF title, whenever that was in the States years ago. Right? As I said, even if Australian debuts go well, right, well, actually, debuts in the USA really don't go that well. They either get knocked the fuck out or they look terrible, right? If he doesn't knock him out cold, they could potentially give him a screw job to force a rematch so that, as I said, Charlie Castagno 2 can go to Charlie Castagno 3. Yeah, so that's my theory. And I'm glad I'm not the only one that's thinking that, if Tim doesn't knock him out, there could be a shenanigans in the mix. So
now here's the thing: I've seen Terrell Gausha fight, live twice, as I've said many times before. It was a once or twice. Was that the Lupin fight? I don't remember. Either way, Tszyu, I think, is going to go to the decision. If Tszyu stops Terrell Gausha, I'm going to be highly impressed. Now I understand why they've chosen Terrell Gausha, because if Tszyu gets past Terrell Gausha, then don't be surprised, if he fights Tony Harrison or something like that, to further step up and then go on his way to fight the winner of Charlo Castagno 2, depending on who may have that belt or if the belt's not going to be vacated or not. But another interesting fact is IBF contender Bakram Murtazaliev is in an untelevised, again, portion of the card against Ahmed Checo, and you would think that, why didn't Tszyu fight him? They're on the same card.
And the rankings are exactly the same. He's number 1, Tim's number 3.
By the IBF and the WBO.
Exactly. I don't know why they haven't ordered that, but then we've been questioning why hasn't Tim fought Kabanov. So, we just, yeah.
So
sorry, go ahead.
We will be talking a lot about this fight as the week goes on. As I said, join us at 2 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. We're going to be here. That's going to be March the 24th for the press conference, and we're going to talk more in detail after the press conference and a little bit before about the fight and the card. But in some other news to wrap up the video, and we're going to have to do a whole different video on this because we're short on time. But let's do some quick talk about Lomachenko is out. That's it. He's not going to be leaving, the war to go train to fight George Kambosos. And an offer has been sent from Team Kambosos to Devin Haney for the fight to happen June the 5th for full undisputed. Devin Haney's WBC title and George Kambosos' WBC franchise, WBA Super, WBO, IBF, and Ring Magazine. It looks like it's finally happening. We're getting what we want. How do you feel about hearing the news that the fight's going to happen?
Oh, thank the all things that are sacred for that.
Yeah.
Because as much as I wanted him to fight Loma, the fight with Haney needs to happen first. Because George will belt the daylights out of Haney. Yeah, he might struggle a little bit more against Loma, but he will belt Haney. I mean, all these people saying, "Oh, Haney's going to belt him." Fuck off. Haney couldn't even belt a blown up Jojo Diaz.
I don't know. We're going to and the fight with Jojo Diaz. The fight with Jorge Linares, the fight with Yorkis Gamboa, they've done some damage to Devin Haney because now they make him look vulnerable. These are fighters that he was supposed to be showcased to stop, and he didn't perform in those 3 fights.
Exactly, he didn't stop any of them. George is going to hammer the fucking shit out of him.
We're going to see, but what we've seen so far is that George Kambosos, would probably, knock out Jorge Linares, in my opinion. He would probably definitely do the same thing Gamboa, in my opinion. Gamboa is returning soon against a Isak Cruz, of all people. And now, I'm not as confident that Haney can beat Kambosos. And we also have to factor in, Haney is not a knockout artist, and this fight is going to Australia. It's going to the other man's backyard.
Well, I don't know about you, but I was never confident that Haney could beat George at any time. I've been saying, how long have I been saying that George could bloody back in?
Well, now the time is going to come. So, we're going to talk more in detail about this in another video, probably in, after everything calms down this week, because it's a big week. We'll probably try to come back next week and give a whole 30-minute video on Haney, Kambosos, and what's been going on with that. But who do you want to see on the undercard?
Oh, definitely Ebbs. Definitely Ebanie, Skye, Brock,
Dempsey McKean.
Dempsey's really been disappointing, hasn't he?
Yeah, but you got to think that matchroom, they're going to have to throw a heavyweight on there.
Yeah, throw Dempsey in there.
Maybe they can revive Dempsey McKean versus Lucas Brown as the co-feature. or the chief supporter in the
Oh,
undercard.
I could see that. I could see that actually wouldn't be a bad fight. You know, I mean, whoever else I can snap up. I mean, you know, Eddie's been very aggressive with snapping up Australian talent, and there's still a big pool of talent out there.
Yeah.
That, you know, I mean,
like,
if Ebanie wins, Shannon O'Connell's there to have an all-Aussie girl fight. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, and
Well,
just
since the
like,
last
you know,
one.
we're going to have to start laying the foundation for Teofimo Lopez versus Liam Parrow. That's starting to gain some traction. But we'll save that for
that would be
another
interesting.
video, because I understand, you know, we're both short on time here. But thank you guys for watching. Tomorrow, or actually in, you know, less than 8 hours or so, 6 hours or so, 5 hours.
5 hour kickoff.
Yeah, we're going to be covering the Sonny Bill Williams card, and I'm really interested, to be honest, personally. You know, I want to see Anthony Mundine's son and how he does. So, take your time out, like the video, subscribe, and you'll be hearing from us soon. Thanks for watching.